Hello and welcome to English Simple Hub. You have brought us a genuinely fascinating set of source material today. We are not diving into, a historical event or a scientific theory. We are diving into a mastery class, specifically the linguistic strategies you need to achieve Band 9 on an IELTS speaking test.
Exactly. Our focus today is hyper-specific and really critical for anyone aiming for those top scores. We're looking at how test takers can successfully navigate a really emotionally intense topic, the coronavirus outbreak, and transform that complex reality into a showcase of advanced vocabulary, grammar, and crucially, organizational strategy.
So this is high-stakes language coaching. We're dissecting sample Band 9 responses not just to see what words were used, but why they were so effective. We're hunting for those precise linguistic tactics that move a response from simply good to, demonstrably masterful in the eyes of an examiner.
It's all about strategic deployment. Part 1 of the speaking test, it usually covers simple daily life. But when a topic of global magnitude like a pandemic comes up, your linguistic choices, they have to rise to meet that scale. A Band 9 candidate can't sound overwhelmed. They have to sound articulate about being overwhelmed.
Okay, let's unpack this. We should start with the first challenging question that's presented in the material. It's, how do you feel about the coronavirus outbreak? And a simple, heartfelt answer like I feel bad and sad, that just won't cut it here, will it? You need that linguistic elevation right from the very start.
Right. The initial strategic move, according to the sources, is all about managing the emotional register. If you're going to start your answer with a strong expression of shock, you need to make sure that expression is, appropriate for a formal testing environment. So the sample answer, it switches out overly casual interjections, things like, oh my God, for the slightly more polished and situationally suitable phrase, oh my goodness. Oh, okay. That sets a serious but professional tone immediately. It signals linguistic awareness, right? You know when to formalize your speech, even when you're discussing emotion.
Precisely. And from there, the candidate moves immediately into a high-impact statement. And it employs an essential grammatical choice. The answer starts with, we are living in an unreal situation at the moment.
I love that. The use of the present continuous tense, we are living. That tense is so critical because it highlights the ongoing nature of the crisis. It stresses that this is an active, current, a dynamic situation. But how does that specific tense choice help elevate the response to a Band 9 compared to, say, just using the simple present? It shows structural control. I mean, anyone can say the situation is bad. But combining the present continuous with high register vocabulary like unreal situation, which itself is a powerful phrase, meaning a scenario that seems, impossible or even fictional, it demonstrates an ability to handle complex temporal realities. And what's more, the candidate adds depth right away by contrasting the current situation with previous pandemics, such as the Spanish flu. That contextual referencing shows not just vocabulary, but historical and structural coherence.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, because the sources flag one single word in that opening statement as absolute linguistic gold, the adjective unprecedented.
Yes. Unprecedented is the hallmark of high-level lexis. It's meaning something that has never been done or known before. It just perfectly captures the novelty and the scale of the modern pandemic experience. The sources really stress that mastering these high-register adjectives is a direct requirement for Band 9.
And it's so versatile. I see the sources pointing out that this word can seamlessly transfer into your writing component, too.
Absolutely. Think about how much information that one word conveys. I mean, it saves you from having to explain it in 3 complex sentences. It signals to the examiner that you have control over academic language and can apply it naturally. The only risk really is overuse, so a strong candidate might also have synonyms ready, like unparalleled or exceptional in scale.
That's really strategic thinking.
Yeah.
Okay, so following up on that strong adjective, the candidate then uses a powerful metaphor. It's a living nightmare. This is exactly what we mean by avoiding basic definitions. We don't need to define nightmare as a bad dream. It's the strength of the collocation living nightmare that matters.
Exactly. That phrase captures the terror of a bad dream, but it grounds it in the awful reality being experienced every single day. It's evocative. It's a highly memorable idiom. And this choice demonstrates the candidate's lexical range moving seamlessly from formal academic language like unprecedented to powerful natural idioms like living nightmare. That variation in register within a single response is crucial for Band 9 fluency.
Right. So moving beyond the personal emotional state, the candidate then strategically shifts focus to the wider societal impact. And this structural move from personal feeling to societal strain, That's a Band 9 strategy in itself for structuring a Part 1 answer, isn't it?
It is. It shows cohesion. The sources next highlight a key vocabulary swap when discussing the people working to combat the crisis. Precision and formality demand we move beyond just doctors and nurses, which is a bit too specific and informal. The recommendation is the more encompassing and professional phrase, health professionals.
That makes sense. It acknowledges the entire ecosystem of care paramedics, administrators, technicians, not just the doctors at the bedside. That linguistic precision shows a real depth of understanding.
And again, the grammar choice reinforces the urgency. Health professionals are doing an incredible job. That continuous action tense emphasizes that the fight is still going on.
But the real elevation happens when the candidate describes the strain on the system itself. This is where we move from describing actions to describing capacity limits. We move way past just calling hospitals busy.
We certainly do. The sources offer a brilliant escalation of vocabulary here to describe that extreme.
So if we connect this segment to the bigger picture, this whole section of the response shows that the candidate can handle complex issues of systemic failure and intensity. They move logically from abstract emotion to a concrete description of the impact. It's a complete and compelling Band 9 structure.
And that transition technique is a lesson in itself. So, having established the linguistic scale needed to describe the crisis, let's now look at how the candidate pivoted to discuss the actions required during quarantine, which is the heart of the second question. What do people have to do during the quarantine time?
Right. And this question requires genuine nuance because, like you said, not everyone's situation is the same. So how does the candidate signal that complexity right from the get-go?
By avoiding a sweeping generalization, the sample answer starts really strategically with the phrase, "that kind of depends." This is a brilliant, naturalistic, yet sophisticated opening. It buys the speaker time, it signals to the examiner that they understand the complexity, and it proves they're flexible in their communication.
It shows the speaker is thinking critically, not just reciting facts. And that leads directly to the first variable, the work situation. They mention those able to work from home. But then you need a high-level connector to transition to the general population.
And this is where we examine the register of connective phrases. In a casual chat, you might use mind you to mean but, or on the other hand. But while it's acceptable, the sources immediately introduce a much higher level, highly formal phrase that strengthens the overall coherence, regardless of your work situation.
That is precisely the kind of strategic upgrade we're looking for. Regardless of is formal, and it means irrespective of or despite your situation. It makes the transition feel so much more polished.
And just like unprecedented, the sources flag, regardless of your work situation, as a valuable formal asset that can be seamlessly deployed in IELTS Writing Task 2 for complex concession clauses. It's always satisfying when a single phrase helps you tackle two components of the exam at once.
Absolutely. Now, shifting focus based on the material, regardless of your work situation, the answers quickly pivot to the critical topic of mental well-being during a prolonged crisis. And this requires sensitive yet precise language.
The phrasing chosen here is incredibly powerful and concise. Staying sane is a priority. This statement works on multiple levels. It uses the descriptive adjective sane, which relates directly to mental health, and it pairs it with one of the most effective nouns for conveying importance.
Okay, let's discuss the word priority. Using this noun, it instantly elevates the concept from merely being important to being the most important thing, or the foremost consideration. It signals urgency and essentiality.
That's its power. The sources specifically note that priority is an excellent, weighty word to deploy in the conclusions of a Task 2 essay. So if you are arguing for government spending, you might conclude, tackling climate change is a clear priority. It just lends academic gravity to your argument.
And following up on that priority, the candidate introduces advanced grammar by using the future passive tense to project the long-term impact of the crisis.
Right, we see the structure. Everyone's mental health will be affected during this crisis. The choice of will be affected demonstrates grammatical range. It moves beyond simply stating the current state to making an analytical prediction about the inevitable future outcome. This shows the examiner that you are capable of forming complex analytical statements about future consequences, which is crucial for the higher bands.
The sources then offer a really crucial tactical tip for improving your lexical resource score quickly, avoiding repetition, especially of high-frequency words. If you're going to talk about importance several times in a 2-minute answer, you have to vary your vocabulary.
This is a classic Band 9 technique. The sources encourage varying your vocabulary by using synonyms that all share that high-level register, so words like essential, critical, crucial, or vital. By consciously substituting important with these four alternatives, a candidate instantly signals a lexical richness and depth to the examiner. It demonstrates genuine fluency and command over the language.
And finally, the response wraps up with some concrete, actionable advice for maintaining sanity, which just rounds out the answer perfectly.
Yes, the conclusion reinforces the need to vary your activities, which just means changing them up to avoid monotony, and specifically recommends including physical exercise, citing examples like yoga or using an exercise bike. It brings the intellectual discussion back down to tangible daily solutions, which creates a coherent problem-solution structure for the entire answer.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner preparing for the IELTS? Well, the key takeaway here is that achieving a Band 9 response on challenging real-world topics like the pandemic is not about luck. It's about having a ready-made linguistic kit. You need to know exactly which high-value vocabulary words like unprecedented in priority and advanced grammar structures, the future passive, combined with the present continuous, to deploy strategically across a structured, cohesive answer.
Absolutely. What the sources provide is, well, it's a blueprint for discussing complexity and high emotion formally, ensuring that every word serves a purpose. Mastering this linguistic complexity when the topic itself is intense shows not just fluency, but true control under pressure.
It really does. And here is a final provocative thought for you to consider. Knowing that test anxiety is one of the major stressors, a crisis of its own, in a way, how does the act of preparing and rehearsing this advanced, precise vocabulary now help you cope, not just with the topic of the pandemic, but with the unexpected mental stress of the test day itself? The meticulous preparation required for linguistic mastery becomes, in itself, a form of intellectual stress management.
By mastering the strategy, you simplify the performance. A highly prepared answer means less cognitive load on the day.
For everyone experiencing this terrible global situation at the moment, my thoughts are with you, and we will continue making deep dives for you to help you utilize your time effectively. We really hope this breakdown of Band 9 strategies was useful. If you found these insights valuable, please subscribe to the channel for more IELTS deep dives and helpful podcasts.